And so without too much advertising for the Office of eLearning, I will mention that this is Connected Educator Month, all month of October. It's a national agenda that is run, initially started with the US DOE, but then grew into its own accord, if you would. And so now a nonprofit organization runs it, and there is a lot of information on that if you go to theconnectededucator.org, and I'll drop those links in the window in just a moment so you can check that out. One of the themes is about professional growth, and so we wanted to share just some basics around the idea of developing a personal learning network. And we've brought in 3 individuals that we don't necessarily work with on a regular basis or even have met with face-to-face, although some we have. But we see them and we know them because we interact with them online, and definitely through the IME Learn network and in our communities of practice online and Google+. And so I would like to introduce each one briefly and ask them just to give us a quick snapshot of what they define a personal learning network is. So Kelly, welcome to the—
Hi, can you hear me okay?
We sure can.
Okay, well, hi, I am Kelly Clifford from MSD of Steuben County. I am our District Technology Coordinator. And, you know, Michelle, I would say a PLN means everything to me, but really what a PLN is it is a teacher-driven network that provides us with personalized PD, and it also connects us to others who can offer support, advice, feedback, and collaboration to help us get throughout the school year.
Wonderful. I love that. Teacher-driven. Perfect. And PLNs are not just for teachers, although our next presenter happens to be a classroom teacher. Casey, would you like to share with us a little bit about your perspective on a PLN?
Yeah, my name's Casey Neidlinger, and I'm a 7th grade math teacher from Bluffton Middle School. And my PLN, to me, it's personal, but to me it's passionate, and it is where I go to whenever I'm feeling a little bit down, and it's those people that I can turn to really lift me up and encourage me. It's where I go whenever I have a question. It's those passionate educators who I can turn to just with any questions, you know, to get me through this hard thing we call the world of education.
Awesome, and I really like the adjective that you chose. It's not just personal, it really is about our passion as educators, no matter what role we're in. And so I'd like to introduce real quickly Seth, our 3rd presenter, and give him a chance to share his perspective.
Hi everybody, I'm Seth Hamilton. I'm from the MSD of Washington Township, and I am the Technology Integration Specialist. It's going to be pretty hard to top the other definitions, but I really like to think of my PLN as, you know, it's a group of colleagues or even friends for that matter that I may not see all that often, but when I do, I always leave with great new and exciting information. I love what you said about, you know, having not met any of us face to face, but know how we interact online. And I think one of the big things I love about a PLN is, you know, making connections in person where I've known them for years online, and then all of a sudden I meet them at a conference and we make this really personal connection.
Awesome. And I just realized you might have heard me clicking away. I'm sorry about that. Perfect, Seth. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Kelly, who is going to walk us through some background on what she has done and what she has found valuable. Kelly, thanks for being here.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you for welcoming me, and welcome to everybody who is attending the webinar today. I am the brave volunteer that gets to go first. Awesome. And Michelle, are you going to transfer the slides today? Okay, it sounds like I think Michelle's going to be sliding through all of these little slides in the presentation. So today I'm going to kick us off with how do we build and grow our PLN. And as the slide says, I'm from MSD of Steuben County, and it's at Kelly Clifford 9 if you are a Twitter person. Okay, so why is it that we actually need a PLN? Really, this photo really says it all to me, because together we are stronger. I think about my role every day, And if I did not have a professional learning network, I don't think I'd be able to be as strong as I am in my current role. And it's all about working smarter and not harder. Instead of all of us recreating the wheel, why aren't we sharing? And you know, if things are worth creating, they're worth sharing with our PLN. So together, let's be a little bit stronger. Okay, we can go on to number 2. You know, a lot of people think, oh my gosh, making my professional learning network it's just something else that I don't have time for on my plate. And I would really make a passionate argument that we are all busy people. But with a PLN, we can really find better ways to be efficient with what we're doing every day in our jobs. Technology is really not an add-on anymore. It's a part of what we do every single day. And if that can enhance our productivity and how we do our jobs, then every minute of building a PLN is very much worth it in your schedule for each week. Okay. Great, Michelle. The next one I would like to focus on is really the 3 big C's. Why do I do a PLN? It's because I can really focus on these 3 C's of communication, celebration, and collaboration. Without my professional learning network, you know, it's really hard to collaborate, and I think that's key. Also, it's wonderful to celebrate all of those amazing things your school districts are doing, because you know in the news how many negative things are out there about schools. This is our place to showcase what we're doing in our districts. And it's also our place to communicate with each other so we can work together. Like I said earlier, work smarter, not harder, and let's communicate as a team across the state of Indiana. Okay, we can jump on to the next one. I've got a couple reasons why I think it's important to embrace our professional learning network. Number 1, because great leaders never stop learning. No matter, I mean, you are a leader in your district, no matter whether you are a teacher or a student or an administrator or a central office person. As leaders, we must always be learners, and we have to show our people that we're all willing to take that step to be a learner. I think when we stop learning, we stop growing. So that's one reason a PLN is really great for our professional journeys together. The next one, we really need to embrace our PLN because this is free, people. It is the best constant stream of free professional development there is. Like I say on this slide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, any day of the year. This is where we can come and you don't have to pay a single cent. So if your district is running out of money, well, go to Twitter, and this is where you can get it all for free, right from your PLN. The next way that we can embrace our PLN is because everybody out there has valuable information to contribute to you and to your school district. So make sure you're really embracing that. I mean, everybody, no matter what district they are in, we can all learn from each other. And I think I have one more way to embrace your PLN on this slide too. With our PLN, we can really embrace that anytime, anywhere feel. And distance is no longer a boundary. You know, we used to have to think about saving money to travel to other states for conferences, and now it doesn't matter where you live. Every week I collaborate with, you know, people in Utah and Texas just by going on tweet chats every single week. So distance is no longer a boundary, and it's time that we embrace that. Okay, now I will say, how do we select people for a PLN? Well, this guy is the main guy that everybody needs to write down in this webinar. Eric is fantastic, and if you have not already read his book called Digital Leadership, I would highly, highly recommend it. No matter whether you're a teacher or an administrator or a principal, I would start with Eric's advice. And you can see on this slide, of course, I met him. He's kind of my idol this school year, and we had to snap a picture of him down at the Wabash WISE conference. But Eric is a great person to get you started. You need to follow him on Twitter as well. And I think I have him on the next slide, perhaps. Okay. Now, a few of these people are fantastic, and they really got me started when I started developing my Twitter network of professional growth. Obviously, to start that off, at IME Learn, that would be our state's Twitter handle, and everybody on this webinar should be following what's going on in Indiana. Another great big one The last one on the list is the Cybrary Man 1. He has some fantastic stuff going on. And I will say right above him, the NMHS principal, that is Eric Schinniger, the one that wrote the digital leadership book that we just referenced on the previous slide. So all of these people, the Cool Cat Teacher, she's Vicki Davis, who has the Cool Cat Teacher blog. And the RM Byrne, he has the Free Tech for Teachers website. So even if you get a couple of these people down, they are fantastic ways to get started with a professional learning network. Awesome. So what I do is I usually follow those people, and I look to see who in the world are they following. And you know what? Chances are they're following some good people, and they might be following some very good hashtags as well. So just, it's kind of like you're not stalking them, but kind of stalk who they follow to see, wow, who are great examples that come from those people. Wonderful. We can go on to the next one. Now, for those of you that don't know, there's actually a list of educational weekly Twitter chats, and the Cybrary Man puts that together. He's one of the collaborators on that. There's a click here to see that. Now, if you guys can't click there, I'm going to be posting a link to that here in a second right into the chat window. But this is a fantastic list of day by day who is tweeting or tweet chatting all across the country. So what night is Utah and what night is Texas, and Thursday night is Indiana, every Thursday night at 9 p.m. So we encourage all of you to jump on board with that. Awesome. I think we're good on that one. Now, Michelle and Mary asked me, okay, Kelly, what are your main PLN platforms? Well, I'll give you my top 3 right here on this slide. Number 1, Twitter has been the program I have jumped on board the most with this year. Twitter is where I connect to all the people in my professional learning network. Now, when I contribute things to my PLN, I'm usually embedding them at the second place. I've created my own Google site for my school district called the Clifford's Tech Hub, and that's the place where I am creating resources and contributing and building. From there, I post links to Twitter. So it's kind of like I have to have a place where I put all my stuff, and then I contribute all of my resources for free out to the Twitter sphere for people to enjoy and to help their school districts as well. And on a personal level, my third platform has been Blogger. I've been attempting to get better at blogging this year, where I can professionally reflect and then share those thoughts with the world and with my school district as well. And those posts I also tweet out through Twitter. So it's kind of like Twitter is the main platform, and then those other pieces are my resources where I contribute, if that makes sense. Okay, great. Now, the ladies also asked me to talk about how much time do I actually devote to this. And I will say it is usually a minimum of 5 hours a week. I'd say if I can do this in at least an hour a night, that helps me grow professionally, and it helps me keep on top of my skills so I can always answer all of those questions coming to me from all of my teachers. And that's when I research too. Twitter, I'm finding, is the best tool to do all of my research. So I'd say at least an hour a day, and sometimes I'm really goofy and I'll spend 3 or 4 hours a day doing that at night when I get home. But it's up to you to make time for the things that you feel are important. For me, time with my PLN, it's not an add-on, it is an asset to my job, and it helps me be better at what I do every single day. Okay, and I think, yes, this actually might be my last little slide. What improvements related to my PLN, what comes right from it? And I will say, I am such a more effective user and networker now that I've designed my own professional learning network and personalized it. I feel like I'm more efficient at collaborating. I have more opportunities to share and more opportunities to meet people. Just in this past school year, in meeting and making a professional learning network, I've been asked to present for many things across the state. I'm getting flown out to California in December to go create teacher videos for a website company, and that is all because of being brave and, you know, sticking my neck out there to meet strangers on my professional learning network. So if you are brave and you're willing to promote the time and commit the time, it's a free way to make exciting connections happen from your school district and outside your school district and across state lines as well. So I hope that answers a couple of questions, and I'll be posting some links in here that I was discussing for everybody to see.
Thank you very much, Kelly. That was a lot of great information, and we will move on to Casey Neidlinger. Are you there, Casey?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yep, you sound good.
Okay, great. Yeah, as I mentioned before, Casey Neidlinger, and I am a classroom teacher. I teach 7th grade math, and I kind of wanted to title this that social media really has become my other faculty room, and it's actually almost become my only faculty room. As busy as I am anymore as a 7th grade teacher, it seems like I don't even find time during the day to wander myself down to our faculty room here in my building. So when I find time at home, you know, in the evening or whatever, I make my way to social media. So I did want to share those links there that you can connect with me. I hope that we can all grow our PLN and connect with each other here later. But there's my Twitter and Google Plus and Voxer, which are the three of my favorite ways to connect with my PLN. So you can go ahead and advance. So people ask me why I love my PLN, and I say because I teach middle school, and there are so many things that I need to be able to do, and there's no way that I can master all of them. I need to be able to connect with a lot of different types of people. We have a one-to-one classroom. I love to incorporate innovative thinking, and I love technology. I incorporate a lot of project-based learning, and I flip my classroom. So I feel like I wear a lot of different hats, and I wanted to find people who were just as passionate about those things as I was. And so I wanted to find passionate people. I wanted to find people who were like-minded, who had similar endeavors as me, and also I wanted to find, you know, people who also taught math. And so there's only one 7th grade math teacher in my building, so I knew I needed to reach out and connect with people outside of these 4 walls here. So I love my PLN, and I wanted to reach out, and so that is one reason why I love my PLN. So you can go ahead and advance. Kelly did a fantastic job of sharing information on Twitter, and I just wanted to kind of add on to that. Most of my professional development is also on Twitter, and the part I love about Twitter is you can seriously spend 5 minutes on Twitter and get something out of it, or you can spend an hour on Twitter and get something out of it. It is what you put into it, and it's, I think, the easiest and the most important piece of my PLN pie. I like to connect with kind of leaders in our field, and also with like subject area specialists. If I'm looking for someone who's really who's a parent engagement specialist, I know I want to be following Joe Mazza. Or if I'm looking, you know, for somebody who's a math person, I want to follow a certain hashtag. So it's really, what I found is there's ways to kind of specialize and follow people that you want to follow. But Twitter can become whatever you want to make out of it, and it's really easy to get started. Create an account, follow certain people, organizations. When I first started on Twitter, I just kind of lurked in the shadows, and I was actually very scared of it. I had heard terrible things about Twitter and didn't want to become, I don't know, I just heard bad things. But I just kind of lurked in the shadows for a very long time, and then I finally started following a few people and slowly kind of came out of my shell, and it paid back in dividends, and it actually introduced me to, I found webinars, and it introduced me to more of my PLN, which I'll get to here in a little bit. But you can find little pieces of motivation on Twitter. You can find shared advice, find great links, professional documents. There's just so much out there. Like I said, 5 minutes, 5 hours. It is what you make of it. Go ahead and advance to the next slide. I just wanted to quickly, and I know this could be very basic, but probably the easiest way to connect with your PLN is through the hashtags, and these are some of the hashtags that I follow and that I use in my classroom a lot, and I found a lot of information to help me. Following the hashtag EdChat has really been beneficial. Obviously, Indiana eLearn has been great. If I'm looking for specific math resources, Math Chat has been helpful. And then, like I mentioned earlier, I flipped my classroom, and so that's been great following Flip Chat. If I want to ask a question, like I've been struggling with a certain topic within my classroom, if I'm flipping a lesson and struggling with a certain, I don't know, resource or something, then I always put the hashtag behind it, Flip Chat, and a lot of my PLN will then retweet my question, and I get a pretty quick response from that. So that's been a great resource that my PLN has provided for me. The other part of Twitter that I think has been really beneficial has been the weekly chats, and I know Kelly touched on this a little bit, and I did have the link there. I'm not sure if this is the exact one that she was talking about, but a link to a lot of the weekly chats. And you can really find a weekly chat just about any night of the week. But the moderators will pose questions, and then by following the hashtag on the weekly chat night, you can, follow along with those questions and gain just really great information. So through Twitter, I've been able to really gain great resources to bring back into my classroom. So that's been really, really nice. You can go ahead and advance to the next slide. My second probably favorite resource or social media platform for interacting with my PLN has been Google+. And this has been really good to interact with Indiana eLearn, especially with all of our new standards this year, has been through Google+'s communities. We've got the communities, which is a really nice place to connect with groups and the educators, and I put the bar over there along the side to kind of show you what the Google+ looks like. But in the communities, you can connect with different groups, and this is probably my favorite feature and what I use the most. In the circles area, I will follow bloggers. I'm not a blogger myself. I really want to be, so I'm going to start following Kelly on Twitter, so maybe I can get better at that. But I do follow some bloggers, especially some math bloggers. But in my circles, I would follow bloggers. And then one thing that I have really been using a lot is Hangouts. And I have enjoyed using these because you can connect face-to-face with people all around the world, and actually throughout the, I've connected with some people in Australia throughout a Voxer group that I have. We've connected through a Google Hangout, so that's been really fun to get to see them face-to-face, even though I'm sure we never would meet at a conference or anything, but we are able to see face-to-face through a Google Hangout. So a Hangout is just, yeah, like a Skype. So. And then events is just where you can schedule and then promote your Hangout as well. So you can go ahead and advance to the next slide. I did go ahead and put on here the Google communities that I have that I really enjoy and I think are really good for me. And these aren't going to be great for everybody. I just thought I'd throw out some ideas to show you what I like and what I bring back to my class. The Indiana Math, obviously for me being a math teacher, has been phenomenal with the new standards. We've asked questions about acuity. Those questions have been answered very rapidly. So that's been great. Google Apps for Education, even though we're an Apple school, it's still been nice to look at and have those Google Apps there. The project-based learning community, again, just a great resource. I've connected with people through there to be able to get ideas, share resources. So those are just really, it's kind of like a Facebook where you can connect with people and keep kind of a running log, but much more professionally related. So go ahead and go on to the next slide, please. This is probably my favorite PLN piece and probably the least well known. I was introduced to this from Joe Mazza, and he is a leader in parent involvement. And I think Kelly even had him listed on her slides. He's a great person to follow on Twitter, but I was involved with him on a parent camp over the summer, and we started a Voxer group, and this is kind of like a walkie-talkie, and it allows you to connect with your PLN at a much, much deeper, more personal level. Instead of just reading a very quick 140-character tweet, you're able to hear the person talking, hear the passion in their voice, and actually get a sense of what they're really feeling, how they really feel about what they're trying to tell you. Sometimes those, quick little links are great, and I really do get a lot of information out of a tweet. But it is so nice. You can get such a deeper level with a group, a small group, whenever you're Voxing with somebody. The other thing I really like about Voxer is you connect with people anytime, anywhere. I can be listening to my Voxes in my car on my way to school, which is usually what I do on my way to school. I turn my Voxer on and I get caught up on my Voxer group in the, my 40-minute ride to school. I can usually catch up on all my Voxes from the day before. And they share fantastic information, and it's, you're sharing information. I'm getting information from principals and superintendents and university people. It's not just all teachers, but there are some teachers, and so it's anytime, anywhere. It really is the best of Twitter. You can get voice messages, you can send emails. It's just a great tool to use. I have several different groups going. It's even great to use in the classroom with my students, and I like to use it with them too. But it's really nice to use with your PLN. So if you're not using Voxer, I really encourage you to give it a try. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. And last but not least is podcasts. This is kind of where I learned about some of these things, and I really enjoy listening to podcasts. Another one of those things that I do in my 40-minute drive to work. Some great podcasts to check out is Ed Talk, Techlandia, Teacher Tech Talk, and then obviously I like the Flipped Learning Network because I do that in my classroom. There's a link that you can check out a lot more podcasts if you're interested in things other than I am. But one thing I like about podcasts is a lot of times they'll share Twitter users to follow. That's where I get a lot of my favorite Twitter users to follow. So if you have, those long car rides, these are a great way to pass the time. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. And finally, one thing the ladies asked me to share was, finding the right people. Where should you start? These are the three of my favorite Twitter users. It seems like I'm favoriting them a lot, and I think a couple of them are repeats from Kelly, but that's okay. Obviously, they're very good. So I would just encourage you to connect with some Twitter users, and then try Voxer. If you're not on it, it's an app that you can, I know it's Android, iPad, or it's an Android, Apple product, so it's cross-platform. Try a podcast, check out a Google Plus community. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And then, so really why should you, or what you put into developing your personal learning network is truly what you're going to get out of it. And I like to think of it about putting your foot in the water. You can decide if you're going to stick your toe in or dive in head first. It really doesn't matter. I just hope that you're going to get wet.
I love this. I almost don't even want to move the slide, except I know we have a really great presentation headed our way with Seth, and so I'm going to have to leave the ocean for a little while. This is a great idea, though. It's not an all or nothing kind of attitude, and I think both of our presenters so far have kind of shown that it's progressive, and there are lots of different ways that you can get engaged. And so, believe it or not, Seth has yet one more way that hasn't even been mentioned yet. So I'm excited to turn it over to him and let him talk about, well, you can see his title. He has a great approach, so I'm just going to turn it over. Thank you, Seth.
Hello, everybody. I am Seth Hamilton with the MSD of Washington Township. You can find me on Twitter at EdTechSeth, and then I have resources along this topic about Ain't Nobody Got Time for That at my website, edtechbucket.com. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So the idea of Ain't Nobody Got Time for That is Kelly, I think, mentioned, there's always pushback whenever I mention, hey, are you interested in a PLN or Twitter or anything like that? And it's always, ain't nobody got time for that. So I like to take the approach that, just like Kelly said, I don't have the time either, but I make the time. And so kind of this definition here from Wikipedia about what is a PLN, I really like this because, I kind of pulled out some words here. There's interaction where I get knowledge and I make connections, and it's all funneled around some type of learning. I have made friends that I see every time they come to town that I've met purely through Twitter that have now become professional and personal relationships where we can get together every now and again, hit up a conference, and really make connections and discuss, what's going on in all of our professional lives. Just a few of the PLNs out there. There are virtually anything these days can be made into a PLN, I feel. So Facebook, Twitter, My Big Campus, big here in Indiana, Digo, Canvas, and Pinterest are just a few, and I'm gonna talk about a couple of those here a little bit later. But go ahead and go to the next one. I do want to talk about why. Why do I want a PLN? I found this diagram by Novak called the PLN process, and I kind of highlighted there some of the ones that I really use it for. There are lots of reasons, but the main ones that I like, I'm a very self-directed person. I like to learn on my own in my own time when I want to learn, which you'll understand a little bit more about when I talk about my favorite PLNs. I use it for support. I am one technology integration specialist for the entire district. So I rely on my PLN. When I have a question that I can't bounce off my colleagues here in my building, but I can really bounce those out to other people. And I'm a big fan of fellowship and fellowshipping with people that, kind of have the same views as me, people in the same role as me, or, in Casey's place, a teacher that is just gung-ho and, knee-deep in technology to really bounce ideas off of. I mean, really, this graphic here really describes why I do it. Friendship, I had mentioned, is a big one for me. Bouncing items off friends. Go out to lunch, meet each other, hang out, meet up after conferences. It's great. Go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So I kind of early on, when I was in the classroom, kind of adopted this philosophy of search, find, follow. Whereas Kelly and Casey had talked about, finding the people, I'm very topic-driven, which plays in well to one of my PLNs, which we'll talk about next. I would search for things that I needed help with. I would find those things, and then I would follow the people that said those things. So as I go through this, keep in mind the search, find, follow. Go ahead and go to the next. So the two that I really get into is Twitter and Pinterest. Yes, I am the one male that is into Pinterest. I'll kind of talk about my Pinterest happenings here in a few, but Twitter and Pinterest are the main ones I go to because I am a very visual person and I use different tools with Twitter and Pinterest specifically to make it a very visual path for me. Go ahead and go to the next, please. So Twitter, Kelly and Casey referenced this. I love the power of Twitter, and more specifically the power of Twitter hashtags. Several of them have picked out their favorite hashtags that they like. I have some too. Go ahead and go on to the next one, please. So here is a list in the background you can see. This did come from Cybrary Man, who Kelly and Casey, I think, both referenced in their little section. He has a huge list. I mean, this guy has done more than I could ever do in a lifetime, I think. So I am a big proponent of, finding those people and referencing them. So I didn't do the work to find these hashtags, and mind you, these are only, they're in and out of alphabetical order, but a very small portion of what Cybrarian has collected. But out of those, the ones that I really gravitate towards all the time is the ed tech. That's where it all started for me, finding people that just talk about what I like to learn about. Of course, Indiana eLearn for many reasons, through the weekly Twitter chats. Seems like everybody I know now in my PLN is on Indiana eLearn. I run into them at conferences every now and again. Even got the Indiana eLearn swag. Ed Admin is another one, and Ed Chat that I've been recently getting into because, as you know, technology and curriculum can't be separate. So I kind of make sure that I'm keeping up on the curricular side of things and seeing what teachers and different people are talking about, so that I'm in that as well. So I kind of try to balance the technology with the curriculum side of things. Go ahead and go on to the next. Pinterest. So my Pinterest story is this. My wife naturally got into Pinterest shortly after it came out. Loved it, loved it, loved it. She would, on a daily basis, she would find something on Pinterest that she liked, and then she would email the pin to me. And then by the time I got home, she'd be asking me if I had seen the pin that she sent me. It could have been a recipe, it could have been something funny, it could have been something for the kids. That happened, 4 or 5 emails a day. And then when I got home, I was expected to discuss them. So I eventually created, Pinterest has a way to create what's called a shared board, where 2 users can pin topics to that same board. So I got into Pinterest kind of inadvertently to be able to tell my wife, just, hey, go ahead and pin it to our shared board, and I'll check it out when I can, because back to the whole idea of ain't nobody got time for that. I make time, but I make time when I want to do it. So the idea of having a shared board, and this has worked well with colleagues even, have a shared board when if you find something on Pinterest, you can pin it to that board. Again, I talked about being a visual person. As you can see in the picture there, if I just pull up Pinterest, I get a quick look at what is available out there. If I like it, I repin it, and generally I look at it later when I find myself with time. And I'll talk about how often I use Twitter and Pinterest a little bit later, because back to the idea of ain't nobody got time for that. People tend to think when you're into Pinterest or into Twitter, they've heard the horror stories of it taking over a person's life. And I, for one, am not that person. I have a graph later that'll show you how much of I am not that person. So I like Pinterest because I can get to the same kind of topics. It also has hashtag searches where I can search for hashtags. So back to search, find, follow. I search for a topic, whether it's ed tech or maybe I'm looking for some sort of social studies presentation. I find that, and then I look at the people that are pinning or retweeting or tweeting those items through Twitter and Pinterest, and I start to follow them. Generally speaking, if I do that, I find the people that are using Twitter and Pinterest professionally versus the one that's telling me what type of cereal that they ate for breakfast. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So back to time. There's a tool out there, I think this is Tweet Stats, but I wanted to kind of show you that how I kind of ebb and flow with my Twitter use. You can see on average from the course of back to July 2011, on average 4 tweets per day. Now you can very well tell that there are months in there, so these are all months, where I barely send a tweet at all. The little spikes you see there is generally around conference time. I get real active with Twitter and Pinterest. Some of these you would even find when it's if you got as granular as to the day, when there is Twitter chats that I get involved with. But really, I don't have a definitive amount of time that I spend. I love, I think it was Casey or Kelly, one of the two, had mentioned how they do a minimum of five hours a week. I love that. Maybe some weeks I get to that, and maybe some weeks I don't. But I like to explain that whenever I get on Twitter especially, or Pinterest, I don't have that feeling that, oh, I missed something. You know, maybe with Facebook, you know, I'm afraid I'm going to miss something a friend posted. With Twitter and Pinterest, it is so active, I don't have that fear that I'm going to miss something. Anytime that I, you know, have a quick minute, I pull up Twitter or Pinterest and take a look, and inevitably I find something that is of benefit to myself. Early on, I was the consumer. You know, that's how I encourage people to get going. Consume. You know, take what people are putting out there. Maybe retweet it now and again, but you take that. And then what you find, you really start going from consumer to contributor. And that's kind of where I'm at now, is if I find something out on Twitter or Pinterest, or out on the web, rather, I will tweet it or pin it. That way, you know, I can be the contributor to the conversation and not just a consumer. But everybody's got to start somewhere. You know, be selfish and, you know, take other people's ideas, retweet them, give them credit for it, and start following them. You'd be amazed how quickly your PLN will grow as you do that. Go ahead and go to the next one. There's a couple tools, especially in the Twitter realm, that I absolutely love. And one of them is TweetDeck. Think of TweetDeck as just a bunch of different columns where I am searching Twitter, all driven by hashtag. For me, I have on my, I wish I could show it to you, on my TweetDeck, I have a column for Indiana eLearn that is searching every tweet that comes up with the hashtag IME Learn. I've got one for EdTech that's searching every hashtag. I've got ones where anytime that there's a mention about me where another person retweeted me, I've got a column there that mentions all those. Check out TweetDeck. You can find it on any platform. It's on the web. You can PC, Mac. They used to have it for iPad. Another one very, very similar to TweetDeck is Hootsuite. Pretty useful as well. Just a way to organize everything. Again, I don't want that feeling that I forgot something. So with TweetDeck, I can even follow some of my favorite people so that I have a column just of everything that they tweeted. I think I have that for the Indiana eLearn account as well as the hashtag for Indiana eLearn. TweetDeck is by far the game changer as far as I'm concerned when it comes down to organizing Twitter and even getting started. It may look a little overwhelming when you look at that. Also with TweetDeck and Hootsuite, you can manage multiple accounts. I manage our district Twitter account as well as my Twitter account, as well as one for a ministry at my church. So with TweetDeck and Hootsuite, you can manage multiple accounts. And if I decide, hey, I want to tweet this out on my account and my work account for professional development, I can do that all with one button. The next one is Pin It. That is an add-on to your browser, whether it be Chrome or Firefox, whatever you use, and it just puts a little button at the top of your screen, so whenever you see something that you want to pin, you're out reading a blog that you really like or something out there, you can just click that button and choose which board you want to pin it to, and you're done. Real quick, 1 or 2 clicks, and now you've got that kind of saved for later, so you can always go back and check. For all those people that are starting out, I love the idea of diving in. I love that that was there. That's all, you know, that's the way to get going. It may seem overwhelming. I can attest it doesn't have to be one of those things that rules your life. That's always what I get. That's why the title, Ain't Nobody Got Time for That. If you don't know the reference, look up Sweet Brown on YouTube and have a quick laugh. But in this day and age with technology, you don't have the option. You know, technology is there. It's not an add-on anymore. You need to be in it to win it. And I found Twitter and Pinterest to be tools that work really well for me. Thank you, guys.
So I'm guessing the rest of you are sitting here thinking this webinar did not disappoint. How many of you agree?
Definitely.
Love to see you in the back channel. Anybody have questions for all 3 of our presenters at this? Thank you, Jennifer. Sometimes we feel like we might just be talking to ourselves, so the back channel really does help. If we don't have any questions, what I'd like to go ahead and do is give you some time to continue to think about that, let some things simmer. because there was a lot of really great information shared. And we'll go ahead and forward on to a couple of slides about Connected Educator Month and different activities that are happening here in the state. As you know, IME Learn is our state hashtag. It's representative of our office, the Office of eLearning. And one of the things that we have worked with the broader DOE to do is to create those online learning communities of practice that Casey mentioned. And she mentioned specifically her math community, and you may have seen also that she was a member of the coach community. And so what we have done specifically for Connected Educator Month is put together, if you would, kind of a, I just blanked on the name of the challenge, the Amazing Race. So an Amazing Race style challenge. And so what happens is you put together a team, and your team is given task number 1. Once you complete that and submit your ticket, you get task number 2. There are 5 tasks to work through. And the idea is to get people acclimated to being in a community of practice. From the very beginning of creating your Google Plus profile and joining a community all the way into having some interactions. So we let you, if you would, get your toes wet a little bit before we give you a full immersion in the bigger ocean. So definitely encourage you to check out the challenge. I'm going to drop the link in right now to our Connected Educator page. So that's our first activity, really big activity. You can actually earn a significant number of PGP points for this as well. So if you need some leverage with people to get a team put together, I'll give you that insider tip. Mary, our next slide. And because we do encourage people to share how IME Learn is helping and improving and just shaping, supporting them in their work, we are doing the Because of IME Learn call for photos. And you can do a video. We really haven't had a lot of interest in that, but would love to collect videos or photographs of individuals holding a sign that simply says, Because of IME Learn, and then completed with those thoughts. What is it? Is it teaching in a one-to-one isn't so scary? Is it something much more important? We've had 3 great examples. They could probably fill several sheets of paper because they've given us so much information. And we appreciate that we have members in our PLN that are like this. And I know many of you who are in the webinar watching, I recognize you from our IME Learn network too. So encourage you to take a picture and share that on Twitter or on Instagram. We're going to collect those and do a fun project with that. The next and final slide is, in fact, our Twitter chat. And so those of you who've been participating, we're closing in on our 2nd anniversary of IME Learn Twitter chat, and it's evolving. I'm really excited to see that our team has grown to include 4 different moderators throughout the month. And this month particularly, they're all bringing in different experts. Kim Hendricks is in the middle of her series, actually, on the ISTE Standards for Administrators, and that is this Thursday at 9 Eastern. And so I encourage you to check that out. I believe I put the blog link in before, so if you don't have that, I can drop it in again. But definitely worth checking out. And the one thing I wanted to point out is we have 2 arrows on this slide. One is to Twitter lists and one is to hashtags. Of course, Seth shared Jerry the Cybraryman's list, which is overwhelming. We actually have an Indiana-specific list of hashtags and a way to share yours if it's not displaying on that list as it is. So definitely look at the list of Indiana hashtags. It may spark some ideas on hashtags that you might even create to use in your own class, school, or district. And there's also a page of Twitter lists. And we do follow people who follow the Office of IME Learn if we can recognize that you're an Indiana educator. And what we like to do is put you on lists. So, for example, we know Casey's a math teacher, so we've added her, we follow her, we put her on a list. And if you go to the math teachers, you'll pull it up and you'll see a list of people who have somehow identified themselves in that manner, and you can see what they're sharing. It gives you some ideas. It's going back to Seth's idea of starting with that search, being very purposeful in what you're looking for, not just being random when you're looking for new follows. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and offer up a chance to ask any questions of our three experts today. And please, you're welcome to use your microphone or put something in the chat window. So if there is nothing, I will share one final link, and that is to our web page for the Office of eLearning. If you haven't looked at it this month, you definitely want to check it out. There are lots of things happening, everything from Project Speak Up surveys to the virtual option, and of course, some of the eLearning conference grants are open right now. Lots of really exciting things are happening. Oh, thank you, Mary. She's got that up now. And so with that, I will stop sharing, and then if anybody wants to ask questions, we'll turn over the microphone. Thank you all for being here.